know that I'm live and come along and join in on the fun and on other platforms. So I'll be right back. Get this and I'll be right back. Okay, so here I am. I am hanging out. Okay, so here I am. I am hanging out in my kitchen and we're supposed to get thunderstorms today. So it's typical June 19th weather here in where I live. We live in a pretty, I would say, we get a lot of humidity here during the summertime, which is not ideal for me because I don't like it. It tends to mess up my lungs, and I have a hard time breathing and stuff. So yeah, so I'm live. So I wrapped up the critical theory thing I did. Because why did I do it? All right, now I did work. I did a thing for Andrew Breitbart a long time ago. I know Larry O'Connor really well, Dana Lash, and Mike Flynn was a good friend of mine, and he was my contact with AB. And so when I started thinking, why would these people show up here, and why would they try to squat on the franchise? And then I remembered this book. All right, I have two copies. My original copy is in the basement somewhere in storage. But this is the book that he wrote, Righteous Indignation. And it's about how he came to realize just how deeply seated these cultural Marxists really were. And, you know, he talks about all of them from Marcuse to that giant scum-sucking slime ball, the guy who wrote Rules for Radicals, Saul Alinsky. Alinsky did a very, he wrote a very good primer where he cleared up some of the nonsense so people could actually do what they did. Hey, summer horse, how are you? So he could actually, you know, get people to understand what they would have to do. And when you look at cultural like cornerstones, like Star Wars, Indiana Jones, to a lesser extent Willow, to Star Trek, to dare I say, the Marvel movies and DC. I mean, I'm looking at the DC things, and I heard that Pedo James Gunn decided not to use the American way, but the human way. Fuck you. You know, yeah, he's on a list of pedophiles too, by the way. And I believe it. Guy's a sicko. So why is this happening? Look, there have always been lefties in Hollywood. Humphrey Bogart, one of the biggest lefties you can imagine. Would he have approved of this, you know, intersectionist attack on heterosexuality, on the white race in general? This phony fucking patriarchy? No, he wouldn't have. Now look, go back to Star Wars. If George Lucas was a misogynist, if he was into the patriarchy, Leia would not have been Leia. She had been a run-of-the-mill helpless princess in the tower. But she wasn't. Okay, she wasn't. She took care of business. And I kind of go, where's the misogyny, Leslie Headland? Where is it? You know, but we're talking about people who may not know the history of creating the first Star Wars movie. I mean, this woman told I was it the rap that with the smug, condescending thing because everybody in Hollywood hates the prequels. That George wouldn't have known to hire Ralph McQuarrie and do the lookbooks. What the fuck are you talking about? George Lucas invented the lookbook, and he was the one that got Ralph McQuarrie to do the concept art so him and Alan Ladd Jr. could go to the other suits saying, this is what we want to do. This is the vision. Oh, okay, we'll give you $10 million. And they were over budget. He was over budget. And by the time they were almost ready done filming, he rated the he basically raided the Halloween costume department at the studio they were filming in, right? A lot of those for the Mos Eisley Cantina, a lot of the aliens, I mean, you look at them. Deveronians now look like Satan because of that, all right? There you go. You know, the werewolf, that's the Wolfman. That's a Halloween costume. And it worked. Now, I wanted to say this, that when Kathy, and I have the whole interview, you know, you want to just hit your head on your table as hard as you can to get that rattling voice out of your head. Took the original movie to show it in London. The idiot critics who'd probably never even seen the original movie before panned it because the effects are not what you're used to. It's 1975, 76 when they were putting this all together, right? So you're not going to get CGI. They didn't have the green screens and everything, but it was still the most revolutionary technological film of its time, right? And it led to better things. But they panned it, and I think the reason why she did it is because she wanted George to look stupid, right? Now, why? Well, if you watch my upload, I'm going to double down on something. It is not that she's a cultural Marxist. Is it the fact that she just doesn't know anything about the franchise or doesn't respect the mythology and ideas that George had? Or she is a cultural Marxist and wanted to ruin it, erase what George put out there, and make it her own. All right, the possibilities are endless. I mean, it really is. You know, and then, you know, we've got my favorite new thing that she did, and please go watch this video. I uploaded it Tuesday? Oh no, yesterday, but the story came out Tuesday night. Kennedy has been wandering around Hollywood, going to all the Academy Award board members to get Bob Iger an Oscar, an honorary Oscar. And she's cringe. This is just another rag deciding after she called everybody liars in her interview with Mike Fleming at Deadline. This is another Hollywood rag going, I mean, they're pissed. She called them liars, right? So we've got this going on. I mean, I don't know what the hell is up with that, all right? You know, we had the Sparrow thing last week, and then there's one of the Star Wars channels, not one I'm familiar with, did a video where they're now talking about retconning some of the sequel trilogy. Dude, they're erasing it. Okay, they have to. You know, I'm still seeing remnants of Rey Palpatine figures from The Last Jedi at Ollie's. How many more are out there that have never been sold? Gathering dust on the pegs. No one wants them. All right? George said, you got to sell the merchandise if you want to make money. The money the movie makes is going right back into the next one. It's going right back into paying your people, going into the next one. You make your money on the merch. And she didn't get that. But see, part of me also thinks that she never took the time to watch the movies. She never took the time to really talk to George about it. And if she did, she took no notes, and it went in through one ear and out the other, right? Which, we're talking about someone with an IQ of 2, so, that doesn't surprise me. I just go away. You're pissing off Hollywood. Go away. Just shoo, go away, shoo. But that's all of that in a nutshell. And when she took over, she didn't do the right thing. She didn't think about who should direct The Force Awakens. J.J. Abrams was not a good pick. He was a pliable pick. He would do what the suits wanted. She should have picked somebody like Christopher Nolan or Ridley Scott. I know I hear boos out there, I don't care. She should have picked somebody like that rather than JJ, because JJ, the last truly creative thing he did was when he wrote and produced Regarding Henry, which, I forgot. That was a movie Harrison Ford should have been nominated for an Academy Award. And the Academy just was like, no. Just whatever. And she hired the rabid cultural Marxist, Ryan Johnson. And then to add emphasis on stupidity, she hired Leslie Headland. And nothing has been the same since. Headland is just, look, she's an anti-Christian bigot. She's got a show on Broadway called The Cult of Love. And it's again, because she's a narcissist and the world revolves around her ass, her big fat ass, I might add. And I think it's probably about her family, right? She's just a buffoon. She's a clown, right? She's a cartoon. But hiring her was not a good idea. Hiring Tony Gilroy. One of the things I didn't like about Andor, and if you liked it, I don't care. Fine. But the plot holes. There was an article, I didn't read it, why they didn't talk about Val and her girlfriend. And the reason why they didn't is because they just didn't want to do it. Translated, Iger said, if you make that a plot point, you're not going to get, viewers are going to get pissed. All right. And so they had to leave it alone. But he, I wouldn't have let him make that, because if you've got a showrunner who walks into the writer's room and says, forget everything you know about Star Wars and everything you loved about it. Now I get that they want to show a different side of the rebellion. That's fine. But Diego Luna and his character was not the strong character that they should have made as the name of the show. All right. No, it should have been called The Rebellion, Birth of the Rebellion, or whatever. Genesis of an Uprising or some shit like that. I don't care. And it should have been about a new character named Luthen Rawl, played by Stellan Skarsgård. And his death should have been the end of it. All right? And that, because that part makes sense. But none of the rest of it did, because it didn't feel like Star Wars. First off, let me explain. The stuff going on in Gorman and it's echoes of the French resistance to Nazi occupation. A bit too on the nose. All the way, in fact, to the costuming, which looked like they ran and raided the wardrobe for Waterloo Bridge, right? Or, you know, A Bridge Too Far, or, name me a World War II, War in Remembrance, all right? Too on the nose. That's not good writing. That is not good storytelling. And the reason why is you don't want people to notice they're wearing 1940s costumes. You don't want people to notice that. You want people to watch it for the story. But when your story's weak, that comes out, right? There you go. In the same for Rian Johnson and his, empty calorie, you know, basically fuck you to the fans, fuck you to George, with the Last Jedi. I mean, Breitbart, he saw this coming. This man saw that coming. God help Kennedy if he was still alive. Because I guarantee you, the stuff that we're talking about would be coming out of there. And eventually we'd have to go to Fox and Newsmax, and the other cable outlets would drag it out because they could not keep it shut. They could not hide it. The complaints people have, the poor treatment of fans, etc. And here's the thing: we're gonna get a thunderstorm, I think, and soon. Here's the thing that you guys gotta watch for. Watch for why they do things. Watch for the sentiment. Watch for who they hire. Like I said, Kennedy hired people that wanted to take over Star Wars and squat on it. I don't consider Pablo Hidalgo a fan. He's a squatter. He's doing exactly what he was programmed to do, right? He doesn't care about the story. Oh, by the way, he's got an acolyte guide out this month. Buy my book, Jay Sherman, the critic. And it's like, okay, whatever. It's just, you gotta watch to see what they're doing. And when I was thinking again about why all of this was going on, why? It starts after Andrew dies. He died in, was it 2012? And it starts after Barack Obama was elected to a second term. Now, a lot of people like to say that the first election of Donald Trump was the trigger. Well, no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Barack Obama. Because the crazy ass cultural Marxists that are embedded in Hollywood got activated by that. They were now allowed, they thought, to do whatever they wanted. In the immortal words of that creepy looking woman, LaToya Ravenel, she wanted to gay everything up everywhere she went. It's like, how about you keep your personal life to yourself at work, right? But this is the problem, right? And so anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about this, wrap it up. Like the chapter called Breakthrough, I'm going to read you something. Page 127, Andrew Breitbart. The book's dedication page explains, in a nutshell, what was so dangerous about Alinsky. He mixed a dash of religious fervor, a sprinkle of American founding talk, and a heavy dose of kiss my ass into a concoction that was relatively easy and fun to swallow. The first page has an epigraph from Rabbi Hillel, one from Thomas Paine, and finally, Alinsky's Kiss My Ass epigraph. Lest we forget, at least, an over-the-shoulder acknowledgement to the very first radical from all our legends, mythology, and history, who is to know where mythology leaves off and history begins, or which is which. The very first radical known to man, who rebelled against the establishment and did it so effectively that he's at least won his own kingdom, Lucifer. Only a true egoist would cite himself in his epigraph, but that is exactly what made Alinsky so unique. His brazen disregard for tradition, sewn together with dressings of the majority society. He dedicated his book to the devil. And we are bearing the fruits of this ungodly mess that this guy started. All right, anyway, I gotta go. You guys have a good afternoon and see you around the galaxy.